Ayo, what is good, everybody? My name is Brett Shevlin, and welcome back to the Four Quarters of a Whole Idiot podcast, episode 3.
Gang.
Yeah.
So, today we got a lot of story to talk about, but first, you could follow the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, as well as YouTube. All of our socials will be linked down in the description. Make sure to give us a like, comment, whatever you got fantasy advice, let us know. And one last thing too is we also have our own merch website.
Get swagged out.
Oh yeah.
So make sure to head over to merchroom.com. We got a 10% off discount code right now, 4QWI. So make sure to type that in. We got a wonderful panel this week. We got full crew. So
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Noah, would you like to say anything?
Hi, I'm Noah.
Hey, all right. We got Critical, this special guest.
Yeah, so I'm a little sick, but my name's Austin.
Dude, this is all an
here.
act.
Y'all know me.
Act.
It's not an act.
Fucking
Y'all know who it is. It's Critical.
What's up,
Hey, guys.
dude, go invite Donkey. I want to talk to Donkey too. Fuck Critical.
And last but not least, the comedic genius
It's
himself.
your boy, a gang, a skinny penis.
Me penis.
Damn.
Critical found that very funny.
Oh. Yeah.
All right,
You
so
know me in
this
third person now.
this week is going to be a little different. We're actually going to start with NFL and end with our fantasy. So the first thing we're going to talk about, a couple takeaways from last week. So the first thing I have here is Russell Wilson, just absolutely balling out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
5-1 so far, the Seahawks, and he's making a strong case for MVP. What do you guys think
He's
about
looking
that?
good.
I
He's looking
absolutely agree with that.
You see, he's my MVP. Part of me also wants to say
Where-
Christian McCaffrey is. Like
It's a two-player race right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
especially.
the league won't let a quarterback not win MVP. It'll probably be Russell Wilson, and if he keeps playing like this, then it has to be Russell Wilson because the
Yeah,
league.
we are only going
not
into
running
week
back.
7, but gosh darn, is he playing like
So
the
far,
best season of ball he's had in his entire career right now.
Yeah, for sure. I believe the Browns were up like 21-9,
Oh,
and Russell Wilson led quite a comeback.
such a
and-
good game.
It's crazy too because didn't Doug Baldwin, he retired in the offseason? The amount of weapons that he has is pretty minuscule if you really think about it.
I mean, Tyler Lockett and who else?
Will Disley, and who was he before this season?
Well, Will Disley
Yeah,
also now has a torn Achilles, so
yeah, so
Oh,
no more.
oh, look at that. Another one down.
Yeah. So
Also, speak kind of on the Seahawks real quick. Chris Carson, the past couple of weeks.
oh,
has also been
he's
playing
coming
defensive
to his
line.
own. He's just the most effective bell cow that the Seahawks could have
Oh,
possibly wanted.
Absolutely. I
And if
mean, through the past 3 weeks, he has over 100 rushing yards in each game.
And
that's
like
crazy.
20 something carries. And if you remember the revolving door of running backs the Seahawks had 2 seasons
man.
ago.
They had like 5 dudes.
It was probably more than that. They had like Eddie Lacy, CJ Procise, Chris Carson, they had Rashad Penny.
Yeah.
There's
Thomas
a bunch.
Rawls.
They had so
Oh,
many
God.
people, and looks like Chris Carson was the right person to win out in that sweepstakes because, wow, that was a disaster of a running game.
I'm happy they've kind of figured out what their situation. It's really coming into their own, and Russell Wilson's just taking full advantage of that.
Oh, yes. Agreed. What's next, Brett? What's your next takeaway?
All right, our next takeaway is the Chiefs' offense not being able to overcome the team's defense. Now, this was obviously before we watched last night,
Yes.
where the defense balled out and had like 8 sacks. But I do think that the defense needs some work. And now we don't know about Patrick Mahomes. He did get hurt yesterday. I haven't heard anything so far yet. But yeah, I would be a little concerned if I was a Chiefs fan right now.
Was actually looking a little more into that Patrick Mahomes injury before the game started in the podcast, and they were saying that he just dislocated his kneecap, and it looked a lot worse on field than they're actually making it out to be. He made a tweet saying that he's feeling pretty okay. So I mean, I don't think there's anything clear saying that he's going to miss any time from this, so that's a good sign. But I mean, we'll see what's next.
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like 11 minutes ago there was an update from NBC Sports saying that it was a dislocated kneecap. It's no significant damage, no fractured bones, but this could be at least it could be up to or even more than a 3-week absence for Mahomes.
Jesus.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm shocked they haven't bought in on defense because you don't it's not like when you're talking about like draft picks, it's not like you need a quarterback. You sure as shit don't need a wide receiver, and you don't need a tight end, and their O-line ain't, it's nothing special, but like defense, why were they not in on Jalen Ramsey? Get Marcus Peters back because he used to be on the team. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Justin Houston's gone too. He's on the Colts now, and he a problem in that game against the Colts. I'm shocked they haven't bought in on defense yet.
yeah, I mean Eric Berry left as well.
Yeah.
I believe they signed Tyrann Mathieu, but that was their only addition on that side of the ball. So
And he hasn't even made that much noise at all.
I was gonna say he isn't like the Cardinals Tyrann Mathieu anymore. I don't know what happened, but
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that their offense is so potent that he just there's some psychological thing going on where he just knows they're going to be playing from ahead all the time.
Maybe.
yeah. All right. So next thing we got is Winston and Mariota remaining enigmas 5 years in.
oh god, yeah, it's so annoying that they haven't done anything. Literally, in my opinion, nothing. At least Mariota got him to that playoff game.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. Didn't they beat who'd they beat? Did they beat Alex Smith and the Chiefs? I forget who they beat.
They might have.
Because
I don't
that was
quite
that was a
remember.
big upset. But he's benched for Ryan Tannehill, so I mean, I would take Winston. I'd take Winston right now. Yeah, isn't that's ugly? But then again, actually, would I take Winston because he just threw 5 picks the other day? So
He straight threw 5 picks in London last week.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel as if Winston also has the capability of tossing 400 yards and 5
Yeah,
touchdowns
and he does.
this week,
I feel like
you
Mariota
never
doesn't
know
throw.
what's gonna come with him.
Mariota's to me kind of like Mitch Trubisky. He's like a runner first, and then an actual quarterback, which is
Personally, from all of that I've seen from Marcus Mariota, I'm not a big fan. I personally think Jameis Winston's the better quarterback.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, neither. If I was starting a team, I wouldn't pick either of them. I don't think any of us would. Even but they've had strokes of showing that they can win games, but they've kind of treaded the same kind of path. At the same time, they came in together, and I just don't think either of them are at the level to go very far. And you can also attribute that to the teams they're playing on too. It's not entirely their fault, but there was a lot of hype for both of them coming in, but they kind of just fallen into the middle of the pack, and honestly, they're kind of forgotten about.
Is it them or the teams though?
It's a mixture for sure.
They're not on the best teams at all.
I mean, I know for the Buccaneers case, I feel like every year they get a new head coach.
That is
so
true.
I feel like that has
the Titans as a team are progressing in the right way. I mean, the defense is looking stronger.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think Mariota is going to be the franchise player over there very soon, for much longer. At least I think it's about time to move on.
Well, I mean, Tannehill's getting the start this week over in Tennessee.
Well, I'm not saying move on to Ryan Tannehill because I
move on to the draft.
Hey, I mean, the Dolphins doubled down on him a few years ago and gave him a horrendously large contract.
So did Brett and I. Every year, me and Brett were like, Tannehill, the guy, the myth, the legend, and then he sucked.
I mean, he's got the makeup. He's tall. He's got a big arm.
Oh, he looks like a quarterback.
Yeah,
he sure does.
And that's one point. Another one point I also want to bring up about this whole quarterback thing is I mean, what was Mariota 2 and Winston was 1, or was it vice versa?
I believe Winston was 1.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So is it time to like look at like who the hell's scouting these kids? Because like another like a closer example is like Josh Allen was like what, the 7th pick in the draft by the Bills, but like later in the 6th round, Kyle Allen was picked, or friggin' like Gardner Minshew was like a 5th round pick, and Kyle Allen was like a 6th round pick. So like whoever's scouting these kids, man, like they gotta do a better job or something. Because like what did they miss in Kyle Allen and Gardner Minshew?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest thing is like quarterback is just such a necessity now that people are really like reaching and kind of taking quarterbacks higher than, they're really projected to go, just to make sure they beat out other teams. So
I mean, that's a good point. I agree with that.
Yeah, they say defense wins championships, but I think the defense can get you to the championship, but you can't win a championship without a quarterback.
Unless you're Nick Foles.
Not. Yeah.
If you, like name,
well,
like,
okay, well, that I'm just thinking of the Panthers Broncos Super Bowl, and Peyton Manning did literally nothing to win that game. He did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but Brock
right.
Osweiler wasn't too shabby in the games he had to step in.
Yeah.
It's
I just
not
mean like in the actual game, the Broncos were like, we got to start him, we got to let him play, and Manning did like nothing in that game.
That was boring Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they have a safety within like the first 10 seconds of the game.
That was against the Seahawks. That one.
Yeah,
wrong game. Okay.
Yeah. So
either way, it was over at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
What's the next point, Nathaniel?
All right, next we got Cam Newton most likely not getting his job back.
Hash brown garbo. I've always hated Cam Newton. Like, I don't know why.
I'm the same way. Cam Newton is by far like the biggest asshat in the entire league. Like,
now that AB is gone, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
he just thinks so highly of himself, and I just think that like the way that Kyle Allen has been playing, it's honestly like justice. Because Cam Newton hasn't done anything since his MVP season in like 2015.
Yeah, that year they went like 15-1.
15-1.
Yeah, they lost to the Falcons in the last game of the year. I feel like he's done like nothing, like literally nothing, besides get hurt.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now the Panthers are sitting on a 4-game win streak right now. Pretty much all at the hands of Kyle Allen. But
well, Christian McCaffrey.
Well, yes. I think that's implied. But you need quarterback to win a game, and Kyle Allen's winning the games.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were to insert Cam Newton, would the games still be won or not?
No, I don't think so.
That's what I'm trying to get at here. But
they lost to the Bucks. That was a horrible loss. Like, I just don't. He's like missing receivers by like 10 feet above their heads. Like, it doesn't make. He's so bad.
He's always kind of done that, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He sucks. And then like, oh my god. To Brett's point, he's like an asshat. Not only does he dress like an asshat on the way to the games,
man,
he like runs like a running back, gets clocked, and then complains. And it's like, dude, you're playing football. Like, shut the hell up.
Yeah, the thing I want to throw out there though is I really feel like at this point in time, Newton is kind of synonymous with the franchise, much like Eli Manning was with the Giants, and I really don't think that the Panthers are going to be so quick to bench Cam Newton once he's healthy and like keep him on the bench. Well, I feel like we're going to see a similar thing to when, to how Eli somehow kept his job for so long until it was just finally time to pull the trigger on that. I don't think Cam is losing his job,
which is painful to think.
Yeah, but that's just the way I'm seeing it. I think.
I feel that way too. I feel like he won't lose his job, even though it's like clear and obvious he should be benched. But I don't know. I feel I think they should trade his ass. But we'll get to that later.
We will get to that.
We will get to it. Okay. So next we got 49ers. I think.
Dude, stop. Skip. Next.
Oh, who was saying that's the podcast one?
Don't give critical the satisfaction.
Who was saying the?
No, I'll give it. 49ers. No, I accept the 49ers as a top 5 team in the league. And we'll cover our power rankings in a little bit, but that's all. That's what I'll say for now.
Yeah.
I accept it now. I accept it.
Not to. You can't
Okay.
not accept it. Sorry.
You can though. You really can.
Shut up.
Dude,
No,
like,
you can't.
I don't know, man. What? Like, you can't even say like playing the Rams was like a real game because the Rams aren't the Rams for some reason. And actually, not
that's supposed to mean the Rams are the Rams.
No, but like they ain't the Rams of last year, dude.
But we gotta. One thing like we haven't talked about with the 49ers, the fact that they've only allowed 64 points. They played some bad teams this season. They still only allowed 64 points in 5 games. That's phenomenal. That's second to the Patriots.
Playing the Bucks, then the Bengals, then the Steelers, then the bye week, then the Browns and the Rams, and now they're going to the Redskins. It's not the gauntlet, all right? Like we can get the local flag.
It definitely isn't, but I think you just need like it's still like you're playing professional teams, and like it's still impressive. However you look at it. Because, I mean, the Patriots have allowed 48. They haven't played many impressive teams. I mean, the Patriots have played the Jets, Steelers, Dolphins, Redskins. It's, and we're all hailing the Patriots as the best defense in the league.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that defense is really that good, but Tom Brady ain't looking that good. And, it'll probably be a problem because they're coming up on this crazy schedule gauntlet, I think, at least. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. But we'll leave it.
I think you have to give credit to the Niners, though. Just saying.
Oh yeah, no one's not giving them credit. I think everyone's on board now.
Really not giving them credit.
I am not giving them an ounce of credit, dude. Like
all right, we'll see at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But until then, every week you expect me to just throw it in your face.
All I can say is the 49ers will probably remain undefeated at the end of this week, given the fact that they're playing the Redskins.
I'm gonna hope so. The Redskins, do they even have a win yet?
Yeah, they
beat the Dolphins, boy, in the biggest game of the season. Give me a break.
That's something to write home about.
The Tank Bowl.
right down to like the last solitary second.
Yeah, so
next, bro.
We got Chargers, just disappointing. 2-4 start. I really had high hopes for the Chargers this season. I don't know about you guys, but
free Austin Eckler. Kick Melvin Gordon.
Yo, free my man.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, that team looks really good. They have Hunter Henry back, so that might make a big difference. Who knows? But like,
the number one issue is their offensive line, man. It's bad. Hold on. I gotta look up a stat real quick.
Oh, real professional of you, Critical.
Yeah. Sorry.
Not coming armed with information.
I don't know. Well, I mean, the fact that you can't even say that, like, the fact that Melvin Gordon wasn't there is, like, the reason they're not doing that good, because Austin Eckler, well, wasn't that shabby.
And Gordon also hasn't really done anything since he's returned. Yeah, I'm looking right now, he's averaging 2.5 yards a carry on 20 carries,
Yep.
And he's been very uninvolved in the pass game as well. He's only got 7 receptions in 2 games. He just,
Just to name a few offensive line injuries that they've had, Mike Pouncey, Devontae Bosby, and their left tackle with the last name Okung. All 3 of them.
Russell Okung.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
All 3, like, you're missing 3 3 of your starters in your offensive line. They're yielding way too many sacks. They're not able to run the ball really well at all. Austin Eckler was putting up really good fantasy numbers for the beginning of the season. However, if you looked at his yards per rush, I think it was like 2.8 or something really bad. So, I mean, their offensive line, I think, is the root of all their issues because of all the amount of injuries that's plaguing them right now. They're just
I mean, it's not like he has. Yeah, it's not like he has. I mean, he's throwing to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and I'm sure Antonio Gates is fucking crawling around on the bench or something like that, just waiting to die.
Yeah, the Chargers, that's always been their biggest issue, is they can never keep anyone healthy.
They're not in like actually, maybe this year they are, but they're not in like the easiest division on earth either. I mean, playing the Chiefs twice a year, that kind of sucks. They lost to the Broncos, and I can't say that sucks because the Broncos suck. But, I mean, I don't know. They're so disappointing to me because I've had them for like the last 3 years. Like they're finally gonna do something, and I saw actually an interesting stat. I'm not going to bring up the exact numbers because I'm lazy like that. But Phillip Rivers is like leading like passing yards, passing touchdowns, wins for like a quarterback who's never made it to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, probably.
And
Sad,
which
man.
is God. If he has to retire as a Super Bowl, like he's gonna like maybe not above Dan Marino because Dan Marino never won, but he might be top 3 quarterbacks who's never won a Super Bowl. Because I don't think he will. It doesn't look like he's gonna.
Well, I don't think the Chargers will, unless they have to make some real changes.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do something because that defense, that in Joey Bosa, in Ingram, as your rushers, it's not that bad. It's pretty spicy actually.
Yeah,
I agree.
their defensive backs are kind of weak. Derwin James is like their like all-star safety who's been hurt all season. Maybe when he comes back, the defense will be a little better, but I don't know. And then just quickly running through these, we got 2 more. Cowboys showing who they really are, which is a fraud.
Yes, that's the simplest way of putting it. Yes.
Yep. And then the Dolphins can't get it right with a roadmap. That's what I wrote down.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, they're so insistent on, having Josh Rosen be like their next guy. And quite frankly, the guy blows. So, I'm pretty sure he played almost all of last week. They only had like 3 points on the board. They sit him, put in Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick gets a touchdown in his first drive.
Yep.
Like, why is Fitzpatrick not playing?
Because they're tanking.
Yeah, they're definitely tanking.
At this point, there's no reason not to.
They end up
have some pride, man. At least try and get a win or 2.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick leads them down the field in the final minutes. They score a touchdown, and instead of kicking the extra point to send it into overtime, they go for 2.
Yep.
Like, greedy.
That's stupid, man. Like, this is the only chance they're really gonna have to win a game, and they actually blew it.
Yeah.
That they in fact did.
I want to scroll back a little bit, Brett. I ain't gonna let you glaze over this Cowboys point.
Oh God!
Not say anything about it. All right, as you guys can all confirm, I was big on Dak Prescott well before the season started.
Yes, we know that.
Yes,
we're aware.
I hate it's like the 49ers. Austin is hailing the 49ers as some biblical, proportion from God because
I think it's because it's the only prediction he's gotten right all year.
True, and
I'm riding it.
And they're playing the equivalent of like some JV team, and all right, the Jets lost. What are you gonna do? But are we going to act like the 2 losses to the Saints and the Green Bay Packers aren't to like 2 of the best teams in the NFC?
No, that's true.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. So like everyone's like, oh man, they're frauds. Yeah, they suck. Those are those are like top 5 power ranking guys. The Saints are probably 2 on fuck the 49ers. Saints are probably 3 on most people's list. Like everyone's like, oh, they're frauds. They're pieces of shit. Like, they lost. Their 2 like real losses are to 2 real teams. If they lose to the Eagles, I might jump off the train. But if they lose to the Bears, the Rams, the Eagles, the Vikings, okay, and they only win these Garbo games, then maybe, just maybe, I might agree with you guys.
All right.
See.
Duly noted.
All right, so. Spect, you just alluded to power rankings. Let's go into our power rankings.
Oh boy, let's go. Why don't you kick us off, Spect? Let's have Specs kick us off.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have the Patriots won, but I don't think that's a surprise. The Patriots won. The New Orleans Saints 2, the Seattle Seahawks 3, San Francisco 49ers 4, and the Green Bay Packers 5.
Wow, we have the same exact order.
Attaboy, Brethaniel. We got. I was just one quick point before we move on to your guys' list. NBC, like the Sunday Night Football page, NBC has the Buffalo Bills as 6, and I just think that's outrageous.
Yeah, I believe ESPN has Buffalo at 7 or 8 right now.
Anyways, so
actually,
we don't
they're 4-1. It's not like they're doing bad.
Yeah, but it's the Bills, dude. Dude,
I know,
Bills.
but
All right, I'll hop in with mine. Mine are pretty similar. I have Patriots at number 1. Number 2, I have the Seahawks. They've replaced the Chiefs. Well, every team on this list has replaced the Chiefs. They've moved off of the top 5. I think for probably all of us for obvious reasons. Number 3, I have the Saints. Number 4, I have the Packers. At number 5, begrudgingly, I have placed the San Francisco 49ers at number 5.
Wow, finally.
Yep, and they have cracked my top 5. Austin, who you got?
If he
So
says,
number
if he
one,
says San,
Patriots,
okay,
obviously.
thank God. I thought you were going to say San
imagine
Francisco 41.
Absolutely.
I was about to slap the shit out of you.
I have to agree with you on the number 2 with the Saints specs. But then number 3, I do have the Niners. It was kind of hard to put them in front of the Seahawks only because I really do want to believe that the Niners can beat the Seahawks, but that's just going to be such a good game when it happens. The Niners, I have them on top of the Seahawks. Seahawks are right at 4 though, with the Packers at 5.
Okay, so I think we all have the same 5 teams, just kind of mixing them up a little bit. But I think between like 2 and 5, you can really mix them however you want, and
it's very close.
I think this is the first week we've all had the same exact teams on the top 5, not necessarily the same order, but I think we all agree this time around.
If that Green Bay Packers game went a different way, they might not be in my.
I mean, it could have. There's a lot of controversy surrounding some of the calls on the Lions defense. You can slice that however you want. It still came out a victory for the Packers. They're rugged this season. They're not playing like fancy football, not making crazy offensive plays. They're winning games. They're just doing it.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
No matter how you do it, man, a win's a win.
Ever since they fired Toll House Doughboy Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
rough. Why you gotta do them like that? Represent the fat people.
All right. So that's it for our power rankings. Moving on to Thursday night football.
Oh, how about that?
Not much to talk about here.
He was limping the previous week, Patrick Mahomes, but he's finally down for good. Well, not for good, but he's finally actually injured. They finally took him to the back in. Yeah, so Patrick Mahomes, he's injured for real this time. Matt Moore comes in and goes 10 for 19, 117 yards and a touchdown.
For a backup, he looked pretty good.
Against Denver's defense, I feel like it's not like overly impressive, but he went in there and he finished the game, scored some more points for them, and they won. So
I think the most surprising factor about this game, outside of the Mahomes injury, is just like, where was the Broncos' offense? The Chiefs' defense really isn't good.
Joe Flacco is behind the helm, and I mean, from day one when they took him on, I'm like, he is not the answer to any of their problems.
I wouldn't say he's the answer, but Joe Flacco is definitely an upgrade to the position since Peyton Manning. I think he's been the best quarterback they've had since Manning.
I think Case Keenum was.
I was gonna say Case Keenum for sure.
Keenum, I mean, I guess
Case Keenum literally brought the Vikings to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, but did he do that with the Broncos? No.
No, with the Vikings.
No, with the Vikings. That was that famous play that when he threw to Diggs against the Saints.
Joe Flacco hasn't done. Joe Flacco's been absolute garbo since he won that freaking Super Bowl. It feels like a fucking century ago.
I mean, it was pretty long ago at this point.
Colin Kaepernick was still in the league, so that's about how long ago it was.
Yeah.
That does feel like a century, doesn't it?
Dude, it really does. I remember, didn't the lights go out in that Super Bowl or something?
Yeah, the power went out for like half an hour, something like that.
Man. Super Bowl's up.
Black Daddy. Oh God, I have no idea what the number. No.
Probably I would guess like maybe 48, something like that.
Yeah, because what are we on? What are we on? 54 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that might be it. Give or take.
No, I think it might have been like 46, 47. Let's see. Let's check. 48 was Seattle and Broncos.
Super Bowl 47.
It was 47. That was close. Yeah. Yeah. So what we can say is that Flacco is not the answer to Denver. Denver's now 2-5. Their season's over. I really don't see them digging themselves out of any hole to get a wild card spot.
Isn't it time to move on from a few of those guys there? They got some marquee defenders on the other end, man.
They really do. And
time to dish them or something.
Well, Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing that we're talking about rumor mills this week.
The
But
segue.
The segue. How smoothly can you finish this segue, Brett?
All right. So
all right.
That's funny.
So we're mostly going to talk about teams that are just teams that need to sell. Teams that really need to sell because their playoff hopes are dead. And I think the Broncos are probably on the top of that list right now.
Yeah, I think so.
They have the most capital with Von Miller, Chris Harris, Emmanuel Sanders. Like, I don't know why.
I do have one question for you. So, like, obviously, it's a little harder in football than basketball and hockey. But is there, besides like the obvious ones, like the Redskins and the Dolphins, is there any team that like should just phone it in and like trade everything and just like totally restart? Because I think the Broncos, they should dump like everyone.
I mean, I think I can make a case for Cincinnati, and the Andy Dalton era needs to die a miserable death because it's already in the process of it. AJ Green, poor guy. That is, I mean, if there's a franchise, that's one of them. Like one of these is like in need of a reboot, I should say. Cincinnati needs that
up there.
So bad. Andy Dalton has flown under the radar for so long. He's gotten away with like almost no flack from anybody. He just people have allowed him to exist, and I say we don't let that happen anymore. Andy Dalton really does exist, and he is bad. It's that simple.
There's actually one team as well that I'd like to add, and that's the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, phone it.
I was thinking of that. Yeah, I mean,
they just can't win a game this year. They won one, but
since that Super Bowl they were in with the Patriots, I feel like they just all downhill from there.
It's really a curse.
That really cursed that franchise for.
That's something I'd like to ask a player, like a real player, like obviously for the next year, I would imagine it affects you, but like especially losing like the way Matt Ryan lost, like that must still be with him. Like that must really suck. Like I doubt it's out of his head.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Wouldn't that make you play with a chip on your shoulder and like kind of motivate you?
I mean, Matt Ryan's not necessarily playing a bad season. It's just that team just doesn't win games.
Their defense doesn't know how to fucking stop somebody. That's what their issue is.
Yeah, their defense, they can't stop a nosebleed, really.
They're rough. But besides that, I can't think of another team that needs to like phone it in. I mean, the Bucks maybe. The Bucks have a few pieces.
Yeah, I think we're in a league right now where there's very few teams that are like the best team. Like even like we were saying, but numbers 2 through 5 in the power rankings could just be tossed around anyway. And there's a few teams that are on the cusp that could easily, crack into that top 5. Like Baltimore and Houston come to mind, right off the top. Maybe even the Vikings, depending, they're trending upwards right now. I think there's very few teams that are like elite right now, and there's very few that are like garbage. There's a lot of middle of the pack going on here.
Well, I think sorry to cut you off, Spec, but what I think is really killing the league right now is the fact that there's no real like there's one team. I mean, 2, I guess, with the Chiefs, but there's all these great teams in the NFC. Like, I mean, even the 3-3 teams like the Cowboys and Eagles still realistically have a chance at
even the Rams too.
The Rams, yeah, like there's so many great teams in the NFC, and then the AFC is just garbanzo beans.
No, it's true.
Bad.
Brett, me boy, I'm glad you said that, Brett. Because sorry to go a little off script here, but I do just want to propose this question, and it kind of fits with what Brett's saying. I saw an interesting tweet the other day from random NFL insider number 15. I have no idea who but he proposed the question: is it time? And I don't think that was bad wording, but like, do you think the NFL could use like a division like realignment? Like,
yeah,
like how they do that in soccer sometimes. They change it up and they change up the groupings and stuff. Is it time to like, I don't know, maybe like switch it up, put all the teams in a hat, draw some shit? Like,
is that something that's even feasible? Is that something that would happen? I mean, no, teams have moved in the I know the Seahawks used to be in the AFC up until I think the 2001 season or something like that. But But that's like, I don't know. I think that's maybe not all at once. I think maybe a few teams could get shuffled, but I don't think there'd be an entire redo.
What if you just switched like the Jets and the Giants, and like switch like the Rams and the Chargers?
You could think of it like that way, just east to east and west to west and north to north, whatever. But like, I mean, if you're talking like geographically, like the Ravens could be in the east, the Patriots could be in the north. Like, it could go. I don't know. I think it'd be a way to spice it up because everyone the one remaining point people have from the Patriots dynasty is that the fact that they have to play the Jets and the Bills and the Dolphins. That's like half their schedule. So like, or it's not half, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's around there. Yeah.
And that also, I think, brings up another question that's kind of relevant: is should there be an NFL team in London?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's like, I don't know. I've thought that was an interesting point. And then there's like Mexico City too.
I mean, I think if they could kind of incorporate 4 new teams that could be kind of out of country, I guess they could have their own like international type of division.
I mean, there used to be like NFL Europe, which was kind of a an offshoot of the actual league,
like some D League kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think if there was to be a London team added, there'd have to be a 1-and-1 exchange. Like there'd have to be an extra team added in to bring it to 34 teams. I just think it would be odd to have one division, But then again, the divisions would be lopsided because, there's 4 teams per
teams. Yeah.
Well, yeah, 2 divisions would have 5 teams.
Well, Austin, did you mean like adding a London team or moving a team to London? Because I know like the Jaguars, that was like an actual legitimate consideration like 2 years ago to move.
Actually, I thought about adding. I didn't even know that moving was.
Yeah, you can sell and move. Well, the Oakland Raiders are moving to Vegas.
Right.
Yeah,
I just didn't know. I didn't know anybody had like thought of relocating to a different country.
Yeah, no, I know that was like a thing when like the London games for the Jaguars were going over there.
I wasn't aware of that actually.
I think there should be because I personally love watching the London games. They start earlier than most other games, so kind of football throughout the day.
I mean, yeah, for me, like that was a great day, a great way to start my Sunday. Was like like being excited about getting up early to watch some ball. Like I loved it personally.
Yeah,
but it's also like it's something to consider though. Like we're on the East Coast, so a 9:30 game isn't too bad. But if you're trying to watch, in California, that game starts at 6:30 in the morning. That's something to consider, and that's probably one of the big reasons, ratings is really why the NFL exists. It's all a money thing, and they're not going to get that part of the country really unless there's like some really diehard fans in, Washington.
But like on the other hand, though, you're also gaining a whole fan base of a separate country.
That's a good point too.
They're huge in London. The NFL's really big in London.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like every London game I've seen, regardless of who's playing, there are a lot of people in those seats.
Yeah,
but if you're an NFL player, why would you ever want to go play for them? Like you would have to move your entire family.
But I mean, as an NFL player, why wouldn't you want to go play in a different country? It just gives you, I don't know, more like vacation type deal. Not a vacation, but like more. I don't know. You get to leave the country. That's not something.
Yeah, you get to leave the country, but it's not like when the Patriots go on an away game to Buffalo and they take a bus ride. It's like now half the season involves you flying across the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
And what if you have to go to freaking California? Like that's the time. Like Noah said, time zone. That would people complain about going to California from like New England.
Yep.
Like, but imagine going from London to fucking. Now you're going to play the Chargers. That would be
you
horrible.
would definitely have to look at that. You'd have to schedule it accordingly. You'd have to have like 3 away games in a row so you can stay in the U.S. and then 3 home games or something. Have to have some mix. But
do you have any input on this, Brett? You've been a little quiet over there.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really think it's like. I know they've been talking about it for like a long time. I just don't see how it's going to happen personally, like with the players union, like as a player, I just wouldn't want to, have to force my family to move to London. And I mean, I'm sure they would get like the NFL would be obviously they would love for that to happen because they would get all the brand deals and sponsorships and stuff from like UK and stuff like that, it'd definitely bring in more money for the league, but I just don't think the players would agree to that.
I can see your point.
This conversation could go on forever, but
yeah, sorry to divert us off track, but that was a point I felt I needed to bring up, the divisions, and then I'm glad Austin brought it.
We could dedicate an entire show to that debate.
Oh yeah.
What do you got next for us, Brett?
So we talked about the Broncos, the Falcons kind of needing to be blown up, and just a couple other names. Like Patrick Peterson on the Cardinals, Eli.
Oh, get that man out.
Like, what do you guys think about those two guys?
What do you think about the Cardinals in general? Because that team, I mean, they're supposed. I know they're young on offense, but like that team is not working well.
Well, I mean, it's like the first year with Kyler Murray. I mean,
I get that.
I didn't expect much.
No, but I don't know. I just defensively.
See, it sucks because I've heard like all these things that say like, oh, Patrick Peterson's not getting traded, and I'm like, get him out of free Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, right.
Well, he had a chance to leave, and I believe he signed an extension not too long ago. So
yeah, and then well, someone's already been, speaking of corners and secondaries, someone already got traded. Ramsey's already friggin' on the Rams.
Oh yeah, I'd like to bring that up actually. So the Rams traded Marcus Peters to the Ravens for like a 4th round pick and then like a linebacker. They didn't really get a great return for him, but Marcus Peters, since he left Kansas City, has not been the same guy. And I went on Twitter shortly after, and everyone was posting burnt toast gifs because he's always getting burnt apparently. And then I know a lot of people were like, why? Like, he's definitely underperformed, but the Rams are still like in it. Like, why would you trade like a Pro Bowl corner and then all of a sudden the news breaks for Jalen Ramsey? And I thought getting Jalen Ramsey was honestly a great move for them, but I think they overpaid so much.
They absolutely did.
2 first-round picks and a 4th round pick.
And now they have no first-round picks till like 2024 or whatever the hell it is. They've wasted all their first-round picks.
Yep. They're really trying to cash in on Jared Goff's prime years.
Quote,
yeah, you could, I mean, you can interpret that however you want, but that's what they're doing. They want to win that championship, and they're doing whatever they can to get back to the Super Bowl again. And so they're sacrificing the future for now, which is an interesting way of running a franchise, because that's typically not how that's done.
It's really, I think, going to come back to bite them in the long run, because kind of like, to translate this in baseball terms, like, there's always those couple GMs that they just, like, all of their money, they just kind of like give all these guys like big contracts. Like, I don't know if you guys remember that season where the Eagles, they signed like Vince Young and all these defensive guys. They signed that corner from Oakland that was really good. They went all in, and they called it the Dream Team, and they didn't even make the playoffs that year.
I don't even know if I remember. Was that like 2009, something like that? Like, that seems like it would have been a long time ago. 2011, something like that?
Yeah, it was a while back.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that.
Who else did they get? It was like they got Vince Young, and they got all these guys. They signed a ton of free agents. They didn't even make the playoffs that year. And the Rams are just throwing money, like Sue, Donald, like their defense probably accounts for like 70% of their cap.
Yeah, probably.
They traded a 1st round pick for Cooks. That's another thing that we're forgetting.
And now that you're really like throwing this out there, like that Rams team is stacked on both sides, and the 3-3 record is absolutely just disappointing.
If they don't win a championship in the next 3 to 4 years, and all these guys end up leaving in free agency or whatnot, and now they don't have any 1st round picks.
Yeah.
Like, on top of that, like, oh my God, like,
yeah, that Super Bowl loss has got to sting so much. Like, coming in with such a high-powered offense being held to 3 points,
Yeah, it's like they lose the Super Bowl and then they go out and add Eric Weddle and Clay Matthews. So it's not like they were like, oh shit, we lost. Like they added more and now they're doing worse.
Yeah.
Jared Goff and Todd Gurley just got monster deals as well. Like I don't know how they're coming up with all this money, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Yankees. I said that about the Yankees. Hell,
no,
where are they getting this money?
It's true.
And guess what the Yankees are doing? Losing.
3-1 in the ALCS.
Makes my
Let's go.
Hard.
I love it.
One thing I want to I heard it on the radio because I listen to 98.5 all the time. They were reading an article from some Patriots insider. If Jalen Ramsey is worth that, what is Stephon Gilmore worth? Because I would say he's worth more. I've always thought Stephon Gilmore, even when he was on maybe not the Bills as much, but I've always thought he was better.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of controversy coming up with that because when Adam Schefter reported the news of Jalen Ramsey getting traded,
I know
he said the best cornerback in the NFL.
I read that.
We're like, hold on, that's a pump the brakes kind of moment.
Yeah.
He's top 5. Don't get me wrong. He's elite. Like he's top 5.
He's real good.
Him and AJ Bouye, his freaking little dude there in Jacksonville. But I've always thought Stephon Gilmore was better. Maybe not this year, but
good. I love Stephon Gilmore.
The thing I like about Gilmore is he fights for the ball.
That's just the way that defense is trained, on the Patriots.
Yeah. And I feel like with Ramsey, he gets a lot of help over the top. They play a lot of zone. So he's not
Gilmore shadows and just is good.
Gilmore's playing more man to man, yeah.
And then real quick on the Marcus, the Peters thing. Even though, like you said, he's not been doing that good this year, then the name is he's still the name. Like he's still good. I think adding him to that Baltimore defense, man, that's some spicy. They're turning into a really scary team.
Yeah.
They got Earl Thomas to replace Weddle. Jimmy Smith is a stud, opposite Peters. Their pass rush is pretty good. The Ravens have always had a good defense, though. They
even had a good defense last year, and then they lost Eric Weddle, and I was like, well, that sucks because I'm a big Eric Weddle guy. And then they added even better people. So there you go.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson has come into his own this season.
Man's got 460 rushing yards in 6 games. It's amazing. It's crazy.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But I ain't a running back.
Yeah,
but I don't know who else do you want to talk about. There's a bunch of names you could.
Yeah,
we're closing in on an hour pretty soon, so we do have fantasy to cover as well.
Yeah, let's go
into. I forgot about that.
Let's go into fantasy. So I'll start off since I have quarterbacks this week. We all switch every week. So, my 2 starts. One of them is a rookie quarterback that is just doing everything that he possibly can with his team, and that's Kyler Murray.
You're gonna say that name?
Yeah, they're playing the Giants this week, who have a not so good pass defense, and Kyler Murray had over 400 yards passing last week. He's been running the ball efficiently. I expect this game to be very under the radar game because the Giants are starting their rookie quarterback in Daniel Jones. So
rookie battles going.
There are a lot of rookie battles going on. Yeah. So I would definitely start Kyler Murray, and my other start, and it pains me to say this, but Jared Goff.
So isn't he on the team? Why is that?
Jared Goff. They play in Atlanta? Yeah, I agree.
Because last week he had 78 passing yards in the whole game. So, he literally cost me a win in my fantasy team last week. So to kind of,
the worst team I think I've ever seen in fantasy football history beat Brett.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Lost to your dad? Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I'm pretty sure Jared Goff had 3 points for me. 3 freaking points.
Well,
But you know the matchup is just so favorable this week. Like I would start any quarterback against the Falcons, honestly.
plus,
And-
I mean, with Goff being such an elite talent, you know he's going to bounce back.
Yeah,
I mean, like we've been giving him a lot of shit, but like, come on, like
he's got so many weapons.
Yeah.
The Falcons allow the 3rd most points to opposing quarterbacks. That's all I really need to say about Jared Goff. And then my sit, I got Matt Stafford versus Minnesota.
Oh, that hurts.
I'm sorry, Austin. But the Minnesota Vikings allow the 6th fewest yards per pass attempt. I believe it's like 6.1.
They ain't seen Matt Stafford and Kenny Galladay, though.
Well, I don't know, man. Like Matt Stafford, he's doing okay this season, but he hasn't had like those games in recent memory where, you know, he throws for like 400 yards and like 4 touchdowns.
Well, you just wait till Thanksgiving Day.
I was gonna say it.
He'll throw for like 500.
Yeah, you wait 5 more weeks. 5 more weeks.
Austin, yeah, you keep Austin. I swear to God, if you have him on your team around Thanksgiving, and you don't, I don't care. I don't care if I don't care if you trade for Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers. I don't get you. Better start Matt Stafford on Thanksgiving.
This man feasts on Thanksgiving.
Dude, it's like he waits just to keep the story going. He's like, I'm just gonna suck the first few weeks of the season, and then at 9:30 in the morning, I'm gonna blow up.
Oh my God.
Mad that he's not with his family, so he has to take it out on the other team.
Pissed. He's like, fucking right. The fucking Bears again for the 4th year in a row. I gotta play the Bears. I should be eating turkey right now. Damn it.
Oh man. Yeah. So sit Matt Stafford if you have him. And
I'm not
next,
sitting him. I'm not taking your advice.
well, you don't really have anyone else to play, Austin.
I have Jacoby.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Is he a start or a sit for you?
No, he's not. I don't have Jacoby Brissett on any of my notes here. My next sit is another quarterback that I own, and that's Phillip Rivers against Tennessee.
Austin, Brett's just like, if you have any of my quarterbacks, just don't take my advice. I suck. All right. Don't do it.
Hey, I'm 4-2. I don't want to hear 2-4, chumps.
Hey.
4-2, and one of those fucking losses are to my dad, so I don't want to hear that.
Hey, I don't care. I won the fantasy championship last year. You guys better listen to me. All right, so yeah, Phillip Rivers against Tennessee. In total this season, Phillip Rivers has had 8 turnovers, and that's in 6 games. So he's averaging over a turnover a game. Not too good. And the most
garbage.
Yeah.
Brett's Adam Schefter level insight. He throws picks, and that's not good.
If you
What
let
is
me
that
finish,
laugh, Noah?
Oh my God. Yeah, you're getting the
Like a dying squirrel.
okay, critical. What do you Wait, Barry White over there.
Oh, y'all are too rude, man. I can't even fight it.
but yeah, finishing up on my Phillip Rivers sit, the Titans, the most points they've allowed all season is 20. That goes to show how much improved their defense has been. So, and with Phillip Rivers really struggling this season, I would find it hard to start him unless I literally had nobody else, unless I was Austin.
Oh, what is? Oh, wow. Okay.
Dang. Love it.
I guarantee you that Matt Stafford will put up more points than Phillip Rivers will this week.
Would you like to make a bet?
I mean, you're sitting both of them, so why not? How much faith do you have in either of these guys?
All right, who's got running backs?
That would be your boy.
Brett's like, stop making fun of me. Move on.
one moment over here. All right, so this is what we're working with. My first start that I'd like to promote to the Council of Elders here is Mr. Frank Gore versus the Miami Dolphins.
Sir.
I don't even think I need to explain why. so I won't. It's just a running back against the Dolphins.
I mean, even if you're concerned about his age, Adrian Peterson ran for over 100 yards on him.
We'll get to Adrian Peterson. In my other start is Devontae Adams versus the Los Angeles Rams. I think that
a wide receiver.
Devontae Freeman has been he's been saving a season last couple weeks. And his involvement in the pass game, I think, makes him a flex option bare minimum every week. I think that goes without saying. But the way he's been playing, he's kind of been playing as a high tier RB2. The Rams are 16th in the league in rushing defense, so middle of the pack, 105.5 yards per game. They're also tied for third most rushing TDs allowed to running backs with 7. So I think Devontae Freeman could be a good choice this week. And so to move on to the sixth, my first one is Kerryon Johnson versus the Vikings. So I'm going to continue the trend of sitting Lions players against the Vikings. The Vikings are ninth in the league in rushing yards per game with only 91.5 per game, and they just Kerryon Johnson just got held to a 13-34 line against the Green Bay rush defense, which isn't that great, and only a touchdown saved his fantasy outing at all. And the Vikings have only allowed 1 rushing touchdown in 6 games, so I think Kerryon Johnson is a hard sit this week. And my other sit is Mr. Adrian Peterson against the 49ers. He's only topped 37 yards once, which was last week versus Miami, and now he's playing the 6th best rush defense in the league. The 49ers have only allowed 87.2 yards per game, and they've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown in 5 games. I don't think Peterson's performance last week, a lot of people are scrambling to pick him up. I don't believe in him, especially against the 49ers. I think it's safe to sit him this week.
Even with Chris Thompson not projected to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe.
I agree with you. He's on my bench. I'm not starting him. So
yeah, good. All right, Spect, wide receivers. We're ready for it.
So, I'll start with the start. I got Calvin Ridley versus the Los Angeles Rams. You better start his. He's been snagging. All right, even if he ain't getting like a million receptions, he's still snagging touchdowns. He's gotten touchdowns in 4 of his first 6. Going up against the Rams defense without Aqib Talib, even though Aqib Talib would probably be on Leo Jones anyways. It is an injured secondary, and so they give up a lot of points in people to wide receivers who play out wide, like Calvin Ridley does. So I'm starting Calvin Ridley, and my other one is with Josh Gordon supposedly might miss the game. Supposedly he's dealing with about a million things right now. I'm starting Philip Dorsett. And
nice.
He had a good game. He had a good game against the Jets last time. So, I'm looking for him to have it like another one. Julian Edelman's still in, but besides Julian Edelman and Philip Dorsett, who else are you going to throw to? James White, I guess. But no, I'm starting Philip Dorsett. On the other end, I am sitting Robbie Anderson against the New England Patriots. Do I really need to explain that one? Nope. Probably not, but I will.
In fact, I told everybody to drop him 2 weeks ago, so we still have Robbie Anderson. He had continue, Spect. I'm not gonna.
No.
Rant. I'll let you rant. I'll let you rant on my behalf.
he had a pretty good game against the Cowboys, but if you watched all of it, not all of it, most of it was on a pass from like the 3-yard line that he took to the house. So he basically had almost 100 yards on that one play. I don't know. Going against who would play against the Patriots at this point?
It's hard to justify.
Golden Tate apparently is a good start against the Patriots. And Brett, I'm hopping on your Phillip Rivers take, and I am sitting Mike Williams against the Titans. Brett already alluded to the Titans defense. He's only had like 12 points in his last 2 games. He doesn't even have 1 touchdown all season. I don't know if you know that. He doesn't even have a touchdown. So it's just not looking too hot for Mike Williams. I was big on the Chargers now, but that offense, man, even Keenan Allen, it's not a good look.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And now for the best job for the fantasy starts and sits. Mr. Critical has tight ends and defense / special teams. Let's hear it, boy.
And I don't want to make this so boring, so I kind of dug a little more. I'm not just gonna give you your like main named players here. So my first start at tight end is gonna be a fella by the name of Darren Fells on the Houston Texans.
Who?
And Darren Fells at the Houston Texans. He's playing at home against the Colts. And the Colts are allowing the 6th most passing yards to tight ends this season. And at the moment, Darren Fells is on a 2-game streak right now of 2 top 10 tight end performances. Last week, he had 7 targets, and there hasn't been a game all season where he actually hasn't seen less than 3 targets. So, I mean, 3 targets isn't a ton, but it's consistency. And that's what you're looking for in a tight end. Consistency.
That's what you're looking for in a tight end.
See, it sucks. Oh, real quick, guys. Speaking of tight end, it sucks to think that if you're top 10 as like a wide receiver or top 10 as a running back, that means you're good. Top 10 as a tight end means you're. That still doesn't mean you're good.
That means you walked onto the field at some point.
Pull some dude off the Salem High football team and you go tight end.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's a pretty shallow position, but Darren Fells.
Darren Fells, you heard it here first. It was the night before Christmas and all to the house.
Luke. Also on touching more on the consistency. And I know we've kind of trashed the Cowboys a lot this podcast, but Jason Witten.
No, stop.
Jason Witten,
He's like 86.
Yeah, and Jason Witten has yet to see a game under 4 targets a game. Consistency. That's key.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Right
you
now,
need one, Mr.
Jason Witten,
Grinch.
as a matter of fact, has at least 3 catches every game this season. And the Eagles' defense is like in the middle of the pack against tight ends. And they have them. And the Cowboys, Amari Cooper, is kind of banged up right now. I believe they're not certain if he's starting or not this week. So if he doesn't start, Jason Witten could pick up a heavier workload. And I think Jason Witten could be very involved in this game against the Eagles. Also, they're home, so that's kind of a little bit of a boost. I'm not saying he's gonna put up like 10 catches for 1,000 yards, but he's gonna do okay.
10 catches for 1,000 yards.
I don't think anyone's gonna do that ever.
I'm
glad you're not trying to say that.
A house call from the 1-yard line 10 times in one game.
That's some Madden stuff, man. I've done it.
Yeah,
anyways, going on
play
to
on like extra mega rookie difficulty or whatever.
Right, no, I play on whatever All-Star is. I don't know.
Extra
like, hey,
chromosome.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. Remember when Austin used to like play Madden?
Dude.
Remember Austin used to play Madden? Shut up, Austin.
Y'all don't believe me though, but like I'm fire at Madden against the computer. Doesn't matter what difficulty it is.
Austin,
if there's enough minutes in that quarter, you were throwing for 1,000 yards.
Austin,
if you're not, you're doing it wrong.
And he's like, I drafted my whole team to be nothing but Geno Smith. Geno Smith at quarterback, Geno Smith at wide receiver, and I beat the all Madden team 755-2.
I used to, man. I used to do it. I swear to God. I have all the game footages somewhere on my Xbox there. I should pull them out sometime. I'll show you them. Anyways, going back to my sits for tight ends this week. My first one is a big name. His name is Jimmy Graham. I think he's probably been in the sit category every week because Jimmy Graham is not who Jimmy Graham used to be. He's playing the Raiders this week, and right now he's actually questionable to play. They're fairly certain that he's going to start. It's not like a major injury. However, he's still hurt, and this season he's inconsistent as fuck. He's Aaron Rodgers does not really need this guy in the offense, and he's making that apparent. So, Jimmy Graham, I would not start him. He's owned in 61% of leagues. That's why I brought him up. I would not play him in any percent of those leagues. I
picked him up last week because I thought he would get some more targets with Devontae Adams being injured. And
that worked out for you.
He had like 2 catches for like 20 yards. So I dropped him this week.
Yeah, so stay away from Jimmy Graham. He's a graham cracker you don't want. My tight end 4. My fourth tight end. Why am I saying my fourth? My next sit. This is not a dig at Spect, but Delaney Walker. I would not be starting him against the Chargers this week.
He was my first tight end to get more than 1 point last week. All right, I don't want to hear.
He might continue that trend this week. However, I wouldn't expect much. The Chargers are allowing 10.4 fantasy points per game to tight ends, and that's below the league average. So technically, they rank a little bit tougher on the defensive side for tight ends than your average team in the NFL does. And with Ryan Tannehill starting, I don't want anybody on my fantasy team to have Ryan Tannehill throwing to them. So starting Delaney Walker. On to defenses. I have to start the Bills against the Dolphins, obviously.
Yes.
The Dolphins are the Dolphins. Not going to say much more.
What if Ryan Fitzpatrick starts the game?
I'm
Crickets.
Still starting Bills. The Dolphins are averaging 17.5 fantasy points per game to whoever the defense they're playing. So, yeah, give me all the Bills. And then my second defense that I'm going to be starting is the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Bengals, because the Bengals are in a very similar boat. They fucking suck.
Not one to mince words, are you, Austin?
So, no. And apparently, actually, this is a stat that I found kind of interesting, is the Bengals turn the ball over on 16% of their drives.
Wow.
So
is that leading the league? Or is there a team worse than that?
I think it's like top 5 in the league.
So there's worse than that?
Only a few.
Wow.
Like the Dolphins. But yeah, that's a huge number. So I'm starting the Jaguars against this really shitty Bengals team. And then I know we were just kind of raving up the Ravens, their defense, but I'm sitting the Baltimore Ravens defense this week against the Seahawks, because we were talking about Russell Wilson and how good he's doing, and he's pushing for an MVP campaign this season, and I am not starting any defense in his way, because there's yet to be a defense to really slow him down, and I don't think the Ravens really have it to slow him down. So I'm not starting the Ravens this week against the Seahawks. They also don't have any defensive touchdowns yet this season, the Ravens, so that's kind of interesting. So leave them on your bench. And then my last sit for the defenses is going to be the Houston Texans at Indianapolis. The Texans are allowing 22.3 points per game this season, and they're only averaging 1 forced turnover a game. So on the defensive side, they don't really seem to have any appeal here for fantasy-wise. And the Colts are actually surprisingly averaging 2.26 points per drive, which is 5th most in the NFL this season, which I thought was
someone outside of my window is screaming.
So, yeah, I was just gonna say, what is that?
Why would you bench Texas?
He's just as mad as Matt Stafford on Thanksgiving.
Oh my God!
I have a family to feed.
Yeah, that wraps up my tight ends and defenses.
Thank you.
So welcome.
Those are all terrible, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, we'll see. Watch all my starts and sits. Not all of them, but most of them have been pretty accurate.
That was a joke.
So far,
And so were your picks. Okay, what's next, Brent?
Next is pickups and drops. So I only put down one pickup and one drop. I know some of you guys didn't even put up drops, but I'll just go ahead and say I would pick up Jamal Williams this week.
Yes.
So last week he had 14 carries for 104 yards, and then he also had 4 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown. So it really seems like he's carving out more of a role in the Packers offense. Aaron Jones is his production has declined, I feel like, every week. And Jamal Williams, he was hurt, I believe, the 2 weeks prior to last week, but he just came back and, he showed a good game. So I would pick up Jamal Williams. I wouldn't start him right away, but I feel like his production is going to just increase, by the weeks. And if Aaron Jones does happen to get injured, he's a really good handcuff to have.
Agree with that. He's also only owned in 52.8% of leagues, so there's a huge chance that he's still available in your league, so I would pick him up too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my drop, I don't know if you guys are ready for this one. This man better hide, because the garbage collector's coming. Jameis Winston. Drop his ass.
Hide your crab legs. He's coming to steal them.
Yeah, so last week the Buccaneers played in London, and Jameis Winston somehow managed to throw 5 interceptions and lose a fumble.
Turnover. Is that a record?
That's got to be a record. Like, normally a guy throws 3 or 4 interceptions and, he gets
Benched.
pulled pretty quickly. Yeah. I mean, he did have 400 yards passing, but that's because they're playing from behind the whole time. And not to mention, he's not even throwing to any of his main targets. Like OJ Howard, who's supposed to be, like an emerging tight end in the league, has been getting like maybe 2-3 targets. Mike Evans, not last week, but the week before, had 0 catches. He's only throwing to Chris Godwin, it feels like. And Chris Godwin, I mean, if you have him, like, congratulations. He's been a diamond in the rough this season. But as far as quarterbacks go, I feel like there's a lot better options at this point. Gardner Minshew's available in a good amount of leagues. Kyle Allen's available. I would pick the 2 of them over Winston any day.
Just to kind of throw this out there, only because I was just interested in Chris Godwin's production so far this season. I didn't know this. He's apparently the number 1 wide receiver in all of fantasy.
Yes, he is.
In PPR,
wow.
in PPR leagues and standard, or just PPR?
I'm off his stats. I'm gonna say both because he's has 6 touchdowns already this season. 2 games with over 10 catches. He's gone over 100 yards receiving in 4 of the last 6 games. I'm gonna go on a limb and say he's number 4 Mats.
Yeah. No, probably, yeah. He's been amazing this year.
I agree.
He has. Just Jameis Winston hasn't.
All right, is that all you got, Brett?
That is all I got.
All right. So I'm going to. I don't have a drop. I guess the one drop I might offer is Malcolm Brown because he frickin' failed in his one start with Todd Gurley at the helm.
But don't you still
or
want
out.
him as a handcuff?
I don't know after that game. I don't know about that.
I'm gonna get mad at him for one bad game.
I'm very mad at him.
Todd Gurley have his first and second season.
His
second season mainly.
I mean, Gurley's been all right because he's scoring. I mean, you can't say much about his yards per carry, but he's scoring at the very least. Yeah. So, besides Malcolm Brown, my pickup is Mr. Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh,
and I'll tell you why. I don't know if any of you caught the game against the Eagles last week, but Kirk Cousins was slinging it. He found his connection with Diggs. He found his connection with Thielen. I don't know what changed in the last 2 weeks, but he's gone 639 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception in his last 2 games. He's owned in 37.4% of leagues. And like I just alluded to, not only his stats, he's throwing it well. He's hitting his targets, and that if his connection with Diggs and Thielen is on, that's a dynamic offense with Dalvin Cook and Madison too, who had a really good game with the few carries that he got. So I think while Cousins is riding this high, I think it's safe to pick him up and maybe even throw him in your lineup. They have a few enticing games coming up, the Vikings. The next game they have is against the Lions, then they play the Redskins, and then they play the Chiefs. So, I mean, those 3 games alone could yield some pretty good returns for rostering and starting Kirk Cousins if you're in need of a quarterback. For example, if you just lost Mahomes, Cousins may not be a terrible replacement if you don't have anybody else on your bench already. And so
or if you have Matt Stafford, you don't want to start him this week. Kirk Cousins might be a good ultimatum.
So, yeah, Kirk Cousins is my pickup for the week.
Nice.
Specs, you got anything?
I do. So, I'll start with my pickup here. John Brown of the Buffalo Bills.
That right from me. Okay.
Yeah, fuck you, Austin, and your garbage takes. So he's only rostered in 64.2% of leagues. He is the 29th best wide receiver in fantasy, at least. He is 7th among NFL receivers in total air yardage through the first 6 weeks of the season. So he's looking all right. Josh Allen's throwing him the ball, so maybe be wary of that. And then I don't have a different drop, but I am saying I'm doubling down. Damn it! I said drop Baker Mayfield last week. I'm saying drop his ass again this week, just in case you didn't, because he looked like booty cheeks out there against every time it mattered. He threw a pick and just sucked. He just sucks. He's overrated. I'm not. All right, actually, maybe he doesn't suck, but he's definitely overrated. For sure. So I'm doubling down on that and saying drop his ass.
They have a lot of offensive weapons over there that I just feel as if are not being used. I agree with that. Drop Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, yeah, he threw like what 3 picks again. Oh, my mic just he threw like yeah, he threw like 3 picks against the Seahawks. Get it? The Seahawks are a decent looking team over there. But yeah, I don't know, 249 for 3 picks just to get 1 touchdown.
Oh, that's ugly.
He hasn't
Brown Garbo.
He hasn't had over 1 passing touchdown all season. It's either 0 or 1.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Poor Jarvis Landry and OBJ.
Yeah, like but in week 1 touchdown, 1 pick. In week 2, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. In week I missed. No, I'm off. Yeah, 1 pass touchdown, 3 picks in week 1.
He's just so mad he can't he can't get it out.
So
he's throwing his mic across the room.
Yeah, my mic fell. I fucking hucked it. Yeah. I don't. His picks are insane. 3 in week 1, 1 in week 2. He hasn't not thrown a pick. He won't throw a pick this week. You know why? He's on the bye.
Thank God.
Be the only saving grace, because now he's going to play New England, Denver, Buffalo, and fuck Pittsburgh, but they're there. That's the thing.
I'm off the team.
Yeah, cut his man.
Yep. Goodbye.
Anyways, I'm done. Drop the mic. There it is.
Drop the mic with Baker Mayfield.
Impressive.
My pickup was Specs John Brown.
Gang.
Not gonna
stealing my
say
takes
much more there. But my drop was, I believe Brett said that he was like, you wanted to start him last week. Marquez Valdes-Scantling of the Packers.
Yeah.
Garbage. Get him off the team. He's owned. Where's my stat? He's owned in 57.7% of leagues, and he needs to not be owned by a single 1% of those leagues. He had 1 impressive game in week 3 against the Broncos, posting a stat line of 699 and 1. But in all the other games combined, he has 13 catches for 184 yards. Not a single touchdown outside of that week.
Ouch.
On 24 targets, nonetheless. So he's barely catching 50% of the balls that are going his way. Get him off the team. I don't like him.
He should just retire for all I care.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, clearly all he wants to do is throw to freaking Devontae Adams. And even when Devontae Adams isn't there, he's not throwing it to Marquez. So
or Jimmy Graham.
Off the team. Or Jimmy Graham, both of them. Yellow bye.
Yellow bye.
All righty. Shall we get into our pick'ems?
Oh, baby. We should, Brett. But give me one moment, because we need to tell you about the sponsor of this week's pick'em. Shouldn't we, fellas?
Who is this, Spec? Let him know.
Fellas, this week's sponsor is brought to you by the D in fridge that did not make it into refrigerator. Confusing the fuck out of me since I was about 6.
Shout out to the D.
Thank you, D.
All right. So,
all right, Brett. Who's gonna lose?
Let's hear let's hear where we're standing right now. What our records are for the last week. We've done 2 weeks of pick'em, so 6 games each. Let's hear where we're at, Brett.
All right. So leading the way.
Tell him.
Tell him.
4-2. Spect is leading the way with a record of 4-2.
Wait, he's 4-2. It says 3-3 on our spreadsheet over here.
There?
Oh,
I'll take 4-2.
You know how to read?
I apologize. 3-3. 3-3.
Yeah.
He's leading us with 3-3. That's not a good look.
No.
He's still leading us. Shut up, dumbass.
Shut up. I'll fight
Me,
you.
Noah, and Austin are all 2-4.
There it is.
Wah, wah, wah.
So,
what games are we picking this week? I'm so excited.
So this week on the docket, we got some spicy games. We pick only the spiciest on this podcast. So we got
The spiciest.
we got Texans at Colts.
Ooh.
We got Ravens at Seahawks.
Game of the week right
Ooh.
there.
And we got Eagles at Cowboys Sunday Night Football.
Oh.
All right, Brett. Who you got?
I'll start off with Texans at Colts. I am picking the Houston Texans. I'm riding the hype train with Deshaun Watson. You know, the last 2 weeks he's been absolutely balling. The Colts are coming off a bye, but I don't think it really matters. You know, the Texans just the Texans beat the Chiefs last week. I feel like they're gonna, they're riding the momentum. This is a big game for both teams because it's battle for first place in the AFC South. So yeah, I'm picking the Texans.
Sweet.
Are we going game by game, or are you doing all three, Brett?
I'll double down. I'm taking the Texans too.
So am I. I got this. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
I also have the Texans. I'll just throw that out there right now.
I like the Texans a lot.
All right, so we all got the Texans.
For the next game.
Next game, I have the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes,
I do too.
We were just talking about Russell Wilson and how amazing he's been this year.
Wait, do we all have the Seahawks?
Yep.
Oh God.
Home, dude. Come on.
They're at home, the 12th man. I mean, the Seahawks are always good at home, and you were just talking.
Always good.
You're just talking about sitting the Ravens defense. Austin,
I wouldn't play them. Still.
Yeah, so I would go with the Seahawks this week. And last game we got Eagles Cowboys. I feel like this is probably the one game that we're not all gonna agree on.
Yep.
Because I have the Eagles actually.
Oh, I got the Cowboys.
Oh.
Yeah, I got the Eagles because Dak has really been struggling. The Eagles' pass defense has been pretty horrid this year. But, Carson Wentz last week he really proved himself. I believe someone said last week to sit Carson Wentz.
That was me.
Yeah, and Carson Wentz, he had quite a game. He had quite a game.
He was on my team.
Predicting then, huh?
Yeah, apparently. Maybe I should just like stop the podcast right now forever.
Maybe it's 3/4 of a whole idiot from now on.
Yeah, bye, Austin.
Yeah, so also Austin alluded to the fact that the Cowboys are dealing with some injuries. So Amari Cooper is questionable. Michael Gallup is questionable, but I believe he's going to play. And then Randall Cobb is questionable, and I believe he's not going to play.
All of their receivers.
Yeah, so their 3 top receivers are all questionable.
But you know who's playing?
Jason Witten is stardom. That's more reason to start Jason Witten, man.
So I have a question though. We haven't
heard Jason Witten.
We haven't heard from Specht yet. Where does your allegiance lie this week?
Come on, you gotta ask.
I'll write in Cowboys right now.
Hell yeah!
You're with me, boy.
Write it down. Cowboys win, baby. Ezekiel Elliott's gonna pop off. And I don't know, man. You saw what Kirk Cousins did to the Eagles, man. Dak. Whew.
Here's my only thing about that. If the Cowboys receivers are healthy enough, if they have Amari Cooper, Randall Cobb, Mike Gallup, then yeah. Because the one way you beat the Eagles is by throwing the ball on them, because their pass defense is absolutely horrific. Yep. However, if you don't have a good passing attack, the Eagles are not gonna just let you slide by. I think the Eagles, it kind of does depend on how the health of the receivers kind of comes out by the time they play. However, the Eagles, they're gonna put up a good game. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to walk away with a dub on this if their receiving core.
Yes, Austin, thank you. And Deshaun Jackson as well is he was limited in practice Wednesday, and then he was limited in practice on Thursday. So it looks like he could possibly give it a go. He's been out since week 1, I believe. And
didn't he have a crazy week 1?
Yeah, he did. He had like 2 touchdowns for over 50 yards. The the Eagles really need their, big threat receiver back because Alshon Jeffrey hasn't done a whole lot this season, and Nelson Aguilar can't catch a ball, so
Yeah.
they really need him back. And if Deshaun Jackson plays and those receivers are out, then I would expect the Eagles to take this one home. Even though it's in Dallas.
Yeah, I think the Eagles got it, man.
This is a big game right here. It's a big game.
It is a very big game because both teams are 3-3.
They're tied for division lead right now.
Oh.
Yeah, the Redskins and Giants are pretty much out. Like, there's no reason to even talk about them. And with the NFC, like I was saying before, how competitive it is. It's really important, to win the division. Like, you can't rely on wild card in the NFC like you can in the AFC. So this is a big game. We'll be interested to see how our pick'ems go. But yeah, so thank you for listening to the podcast. Once again, you could follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or I'm sorry, iTunes, YouTube, all of our socials, Twitter, Facebook. If you'd like to, know what we're talking about for the next week, we'll be posting.
That guy's excited.
I'm holding a sign out of my window that says "honk for QWI."
Oh, there you
go. honk for Austin's garbage takes.
Man.
All right, yeah. So thank you for listening to the podcast. We'll be back next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.